A long-time viewer suggested that I should get back to Inquisition to remind myself about how combat was done there compared to what we've seen from Veilguard's presentation to gather more information. Since I didn't get the key for Shin Megami Tensei 5 and don't have the money to buy it, said to myself, why the hell not? Let's do the comparison and see what useless information I can share with you streamlined bastards. Gotta say first that the gameplay shown from Inquisition sucks, because I wasn't planning on playing the game for more than an hour. Had some issues getting back to such a system after playing games with the gamepad only for months now. Point is not the quality of what I'm doing, cause I suck and I get it. Couple more hours would be ideal to master the system. Main problem was the camera movement and switching from third person to tactical view. Got a bit lost, but I digress. Let's start with tactical mode. It seems like Veilguard won't have tactical mode. That is a shame, even though tactical mode left a lot to be desired, but at least provided more strategic options during combat. For one, we didn't have to hold the attack button to actually attack. In tactical mode, auto attack was done automatically and it could be stopped by pressing the stop button. Problem with the tactical mode in Inquisition is with pathfinding from what I've seen, especially when positioning rogues to flanking positions. So instead of improving tactical mode, they have decided to remove it completely. It is a minus for me, as it is pretty clear what their goal was, and that is to streamline Dragon Age as much as possible. Problem with tactical mode removal is that in a game like this, what is left is incredibly basic. Dragon Age series is a former CRPG transitioning to action RPG, but does that by removing features and adding dodge, probably block and most likely jump. What you're left with is a basic and bland action RPG with very little strategic elements. I don't mind action RPGs at all, and actually adore them, but then there needs to be many underlying systems and focus on movement, positioning, maybe team attacks, and not basic dodge and block followed by attack combo by pressing square button a few times in a row. Action RPG combat is incredibly difficult to get right. Not talking about hack and slash Diablo-esque static crap, but proper action RPGs like From Software games, Neo, No Rest for the Wicked, Witcher, and the only game that I've played that has successfully combined strategic pose with action to an amazing degree, which is Final Fantasy VII Remake. There aren't many action RPGs that have succeeded in creating amazing combat. Neo is probably still to this day on top of the hill, because it is by far, from what I've seen, most comprehensive system that works well on so many levels. But difficulty design and focus on wrong things doesn't let the system shine for long. Witcher out of the ones listed here has probably the weakest combat, but I still like it to a degree even though I recognize the problems. Lack of option to control other party members is a detrimental factor to overall combat, considering what I see seems to be a pretty shallow system. By fully controlling other party members, we could create an array of dynamic playstyles and emphasize team combos that way. Maybe even focus on status effects that would add quite a bit of strategy. For example, poison plus fire equals combustion, and simple things like that where one character poisons and another sets them on fire. This can also be done with the wheel, that is currently the only option to control other party members. Each party member has 3 special attacks slotted inside the wheel and activated easily through it. Unfortunately, having the wheel is far cry from actually controlling other party members fully. Having full control would make the combat a lot more interesting by being more dynamic through differences in each character's playstyle. By having a variety of enemies with different resistances, switching to other characters could add a strategic layer. Then whole fights could be focused on not just attacking, but also protecting that key member that can exploit the enemy's weakness. Taking control over key members in crucial times during combat or even for the full duration would be for me much more engaging and strategic than simply activating their special attacks. Another problem is 8 quick bar slots compared to 3. Let me give you 2 options and you choose which one you'd like more. On one side we have 4 party members with each having 8 abilities available at all times, and everyone can be controlled at any given time, but dodge and block are based off of RNG and can't be done manually. I know, shield wall can be toggled, but for the sake of the argument, let's say it isn't. On the other side you have 4 party members with each having 3 abilities available at all times. Only one character is controlled, while the rest can only be controlled through their special attacks. But dodge and block are done on a button press, and the player has full control over it. Those are essentially the differences between the two from what I've seen so far. Not saying there is a correct choice, because there isn't. Inquisition combat leaves a lot to be desired, but still seems like levels above Veilguard, unless Veilguard goes deep as heck with character leveling progression, that was quite weak in Inquisition, and makes all skills heavily modifiable so that each can be its own playstyle with enough depth. When it comes to blood and gore, Inquisition was quite weak at that, and I don't see how Veilguard can be any better, unfortunately. During Veilguard's showcase they have turned off blood effects for the presentation, but even turned on I doubt it would lead to pleasing results. While Origins had sometimes over-the-top blood effects that I quite liked, an option to turn it down slightly would have been awesome. I remember that I played a couple of games that had blood and gore sliders with each move of the slider reducing or increasing it a bit. Can't remember which games had that, but I think that approach is by far the best, and Veilguard could benefit from more blood and gore, like an upgraded Origins version, and with modifiable blood and gore sliders. Playing games without blood and gore for me is a problem, and I get that some people can't stand it, but that is why options are there. I hope that Veilguard can surprise positively, but considering what Bioware is today, I wouldn't bet on it. They have a long road ahead to make Veilguard great, and for the first time I have to say that it seems they are failing in combat design, which is something I could have never said for them before, no matter the game. It's on them to prove me wrong. If they fail at writing, quest design and combat with Veilguard, then I think it's time to disband the studio. They are just taking space in that case where someone better could take the funding instead and if given the chance create better products. Do or die, Bioware.